This is show 107 of the Cloth Diaper Podcast. Today I'm joined with a Cloth Diaper parent. Naomi is going to share her journey of cloth diapering, why she chose cloth diapers, and how she overcame a heavy wetter newborn, which is always something we struggle with. She also talks a lot about DIY. So we're going to talk about sewing your own cloth diapers and how you kind of do that in maybe a super sustainable way, and why that was the answer for her when it came to tackling heavy wetters. Welcome back to the Cloth Diaper Podcast. I know it's been a hot minute since we had an episode. I was preparing to go on vacation. I was preparing to go to ABC Kids Expo, and in that chaos, I didn't get around to editing a show. But then I got COVID, and then I got really, really sick. And so here we are a couple days late, I guess better late than never, releasing a show that was supposed to come out last week, but is coming out today to share with you. If you're new around here, my name is Bailey. For the last 4 years, I've been sharing stories of parents, brands, and retailers about cloth diapering on the Cloth Diaper Podcast. My kids are pretty much grown up now. They are 5 and 6 years old, so we are out of diapers, but we are just in this industry being a nerd about cloth diapers, talking to parents and learning more. There's this really unique opportunity when you become a little bit of an outsider to slow down. When you're in that diapering stage of life, you are doing everything, and content creation and starting a podcast isn't really it. So I really enjoy providing spaces for storytelling and for us to share in these experiences and for you to learn from other people. As you might know, I recently purchased a maternity store. That means that the Cloth Diaper Podcast is going to continue on, but I'm going to have a little bit less time for the Cloth Diaper Podcast than I used to have. I hope to continue to share stories every week, and you'll also find me now in the retail space. I do have plans to get into retailing cloth diapers, but that is a project for the future, to be honest, because when you buy a store, it's a lot of money. And it's been kind of a whirlwind 8 weeks because I said I would never get into retail, and then suddenly an opportunity presented itself, and here I am 2 weeks away from the grand opening or the grand reopening of what will be mine. So I now own Nest and Sprout. You can find us at nestandsprout.ca. We are a maternity and baby boutique, so it is primarily maternity right now. Do I know anything about fashion? Not really, but here we are. We're going to try to figure it out. We're on a whole new learning curve. We're kind of experimenting. I do know a lot of things about retail. It's been kind of fun in that. But yeah, so we do have a sponsor for today's show, which is another fantastic retailer, and I will cut to this advertisement and then we will listen to Naomi's show. Enough about me. Today's episode of the Cloth Diaper Podcast is brought to you by the Blythe Life. If you haven't already heard Blythe's story, you should definitely go check it out. The Blythe Life is an up-and-coming US-based small batch manufacturer and retailer of baby, kids, women, and home goods. They are the creator of the innovative, patent-pending fixed flat cloth diaper, simplifying the stretchy flat into a quick, fixed origami shape grab-and-go system for all levels of cloth diapering experience. They've teamed up with over 20 other brand partners to offer a wide range of beautiful, reusable, and sustainable items that you're guaranteed to love, with more partnerships planned for their future. Their main focus is on product quality, beautiful details, passionate brand stories, and integrity of business, and out-of-this-world customer service. Check out all the cloth diaper styles from brands like Petite Crown, Baby Boo, Grovia, Geffen Baby, Bumby Wool, Planet Wise, and the exclusive Blythe Life collection on their website, www.theblythelife.com, which you're going to need me to spell out. So that is TheBlythelife.com. Don't forget to join them on social media to become part of their supportive and uplifting community to encourage you on your reusable journey. You can find them at Blythe Life Creations on Instagram and Facebook, and join their Facebook group, The Blythe Life. Make sure you subscribe for emails and giveaways, and you can sign up for a rewards program at The Blythe Life and get lots more discounts and details. Thank you, Blythe, for supporting today's show. I know that was a little bit of a long advertisement. She sent me so many words, but so much has changed for her. So check out The Blythe Life, your go-to up-and-coming manufacturer and retailer of home and baby goods. Naomi, an introduction. Who are you? Where do you live? What's like your little, what can we share about you to a stranger listening today?
I live in Florida in the Tampa Bay area. And and I have one baby. He is about to be 8 months old, and we've been cloth diapering since the hospital. So
okay. And so today we're going to chat about that experience because not many people cloth diaper a newborn. And I have a hard time talking about it because it can be a really big decision that I don't want to force anybody into. But why did you decide to cloth diaper a newborn? There's a lot of pros and cons on both sides, right?
Yeah, like I've been using cloth pads since 2012. So
Okay.
it's a natural extension to cloth diaper as well for environmental reasons and just for the pretty factor. Honestly, it takes something that's like not that pleasant, which is dealing with poop, and makes it a lot nicer.
Yeah.
I decided to cloth diaper a newborn because I love sewing newborn diapers because they're just the cutest, tiniest little things. And I was so excited.
I drafted out this question and there were a lot of potential answers, and that was not one I was prepared for, Naomi. So sewing, you sewed your own newborn diaper stash?
Most of it, yeah. I started out with, so we were moving to Florida because my husband matched to a residency program here.
Okay.
And we were doing the whole KonMari thing. And he had so many t-shirts to donate. And I was like, I'm going to cut these up and make diapers with them. So I made a bunch of fitteds, newborn fitteds with, I don't know if you can see it.
I can see it with
with his old t-shirts. They're 100% cotton. They're super absorbent. Like I was surprised at how well these worked because, like everybody is obsessed with hemp and bamboo, but like these
cotton
t-shirts
is where it's at.
Yeah, these t-shirts just work so well.
You guys, what she just showed me is like a legit fitted. I wasn't sure what you were going to pull up, Naomi, but this looks like a Lily and Frank fitted diaper, like any fitted diaper that you would get from a work at home maker. Is that what you did? Did you just use a pattern from the internet? How did you do that? I mean, tangent, but yes, let's go through it.
I had baby fever in early 2020, and we were just waiting until we heard that my husband matched to a residency program to start trying. And that's what I did. I had the Happy Hippos pad patterns. So they have diaper patterns as well. And I got one of their patterns and I had PUL from like making wet bags and stuff for pads.
Okay.
And I just made a diaper, and it wasn't the prettiest thing. But I thought, it was functional, and I just kept going. And
you're like my second phone call this week about quarantine projects, like just something about being in a pandemic and starting a business or starting a new hobby or starting sewing your own cloth diapers.
Yeah.
So you sewed your own fitted diapers. Okay. And that really takes like the cost element, because one of like the big deterrents around it. Ooh, okay. What are you going to go?
Depends. Because so I started, cheap, upcycled. Yeah. Right. And then I discovered fancy PUL. And then I got a fabric addiction, and then it really stopped being a cost saving thing.
Okay.
So
there's balance. So we need to find balance when we're upcycling, and that we don't get too carried away.
Yeah. Like one of my favorite prints in PULs and stuff, the shop is in Australia, so I had to have it. And the shipping to make it worth it, you put in a big order and you end up with a bunch of pretty fabric.
Okay. So we kind of initially there was a cost savings, but for a lot of people, sometimes you're looking at the cost, but you've got a fitted, and there are newborn fitted diapers are really easy to find secondhand for anybody listening. I think we'll fill in that gap there, and that there's lots of options on the market for it, and lots of ways that you can be thrifty, or you can spend as much money as you want really on that newborn diapering. I was not expecting you to sew, and I'm feeling a little thrown off. When you emailed me, you mentioned that your biggest challenge was a heavy wetter. You just showed me a fitted diaper. So that's where I'm confused. You had a heavy wetter and who was out peeing fitted diapers, Naomi?
Not yet. So I started out actually making I made all-in-ones.
Oh.
Yes. So this is, let me describe it. It's a hook and loop all-in-one. It's a newborn size. It's made with the Happy Hippos pattern, and it's like a free time style.
You sewed that?
So
Yes.
this is what I did when I was like excited about
Okay.
my baby.
So you got into, you started because of your husband's shirts. He was
Yes.
throwing out his shirts and you thought you'd upcycle. Then you discovered that you kind of like this and you kind of like fabric. And so you started making all-in-ones.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, this was later. This was like after we conceived and everything.
Okay.
Like I started out experimenting with different styles and stuff, but once we conceived, like my cousin was getting married like a few weeks after my due date, and I wanted to get like a babysitter so that the baby wouldn't be exposed to all the people and stuff. So I was like, oh, I'll make all-in-ones. They'll be easy. Well, turns out I had to give birth early, and by the time the wedding came around, he was out wetting these like a million times over. So I didn't get to use them for that.
It is a super common experience for everybody in the newborn, and like no matter what all-in-one you buy, newborns are on like a liquid diet, right? Like they just, I don't know, they drink a lot and then they pee a lot, but newborn diapers don't tend to hold a lot. So
Because
how
they're
did you kind of
tiny.
overcome that? Yeah, overcoming that is a huge challenge on like not getting too bulky, but not being super expensive, but not being
like I had to
overwhelming.
get bulky.
So, okay.
I had to switch to petite one size pretty quickly. And even he was even out wetting those, like the pocket diapers that I made while I was experimenting, and the all-in-twos, the petite one size ones that I like, he was out wetting them. So I had to switch to like the regular one size. And he just looks so funny because it's just like this huge fluffy bum on this tiny little human. And
Sometimes that's the answer people don't like when I tell them that there is, to a certain extent, like you're going to need more fabric. And that's going to mean a little bit of bulk.
Okay, so we went to my mom's house. We were going to, so that we can go to my cousin's wedding because it was in the same area. And for the week beforehand, he was waking up wet like every single time, even though like I had the t-shirt fitteds I showed you. I tried wool, like I made wool covers. I made hemp fitteds, like, but they were all newborn sized. So I was like, okay. He was sleeping 5-hour stretches at this point. So, I didn't want to wake him up every 2 hours because he was such a great sleeper. So I was like, okay, I guess we're gonna size up.
Sleep.
Yeah. So I got a petite one size fitted pattern, and I sewed that up with 2 layers of super heavy fleece in the shell, plus like the outside was stretchy bamboo French terry, so like flat material, stretchy flat material. And then the soaker was Zorb Original because he would flood sometimes too. And then those 2 layers of super heavy fleece as well. And then that was like a sandwich soaker, so it would double over.
That is an insane amount of absorbency. Did you ever try a disposable diaper on him?
Well, at that point, I was super against disposables. I was, the whole snobby mom thing. But we did have a pack.
Early in our motherhood, we have lots of ideas.
I had
we
lots
learn
of learning
better.
to
We
do.
grow.
Yes. But also we had a pack of disposables from the hospital that we opened at the hospital, and you can't leave it once you open it. So we tried that, and he was still leaking out of that.
Well, yeah, that's what I was like. The amount of absorbency you just described to me would easily overwhelm a disposable product as well as any cloth product.
Yeah. But that's what finally worked at that stage for his 5-hour stretches. The outer is stretchy bamboo flat fabric. Mm-hmm. So 300 GSM, stretchy bamboo cotton French terry. Then inside of that was 450 GSM hemp cotton fleece. And then inside of that was 500 GSM bamboo. And that was the shell. And then the sandwich soaker, which is it's double layered, it's folded in half, was the topper was athletic wicking jersey. I would have put that in the shell as well, but it was just like my serger would not been able to handle that. And it like shifts weirdly. It's like so hard to sew. And then, okay, so Zorb Original, and then the Bamboo 500 and the Hemp 450 as well.
Yeah, okay.
And he was just like overwhelmed with
did he grow?
the poor baby.
So he's overwhelmed in it.
Yeah.
Has he grown into it since?
My mom felt so bad for him. This was all serged like completely around. And at 2 months old, that worked well for him. But he got chunkier and chunkier, and the serged edge ended up bothering his legs. So like, yeah, his thighs were just like thick. Yeah, all that good mama milk. Pretty proud of that.
It's just like all I'm imagining. Well, you look like a very petite woman, so you're just this chunky baby with this chunky fluff bum, and then I can imagine you holding it, and this kind of feels a little humorous to me.
So around that time, I discovered the Blythe Life, like and fixed flats and stuff, and I joined the buy-sell trade and picked up a heavy wetter medium, and that actually worked. Because so it was one size up, obviously, and obviously it was bulky on a 12-pound baby, but it worked as well, and I didn't have the marks on his legs in the morning. So we switched to those.
When I chatted with Heather from Lily and Frank, who's a fitted maker as well, I'm always like, it overwhelms me why there has to be two styles of fitted diapers, like turned and top stitched or the ruffle serged edge. I'm like, why is there so many options? And your scenario, it doesn't happen all the time. You just happen to be lucky enough that your child threw an extra curveball at you because you needed more, that he wasn't happy with the serge stitching on his skin. It really can be such a different experience. So the fixed flat was a better option then, because you got that softness on him.
So no elastics on the legs, and then that's around the time that Blythe added the abrazo cover.
Okay, yeah.
I went and I obsessed about that a little bit.
I love how you can pronounce it correctly and not my butchered English.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
My family's went off on a Blythe Life bender and just bought all the things.
There goes like the DIY component of our original conversation.
I know,
Naomi.
right? Like the closest thing I can get to that is just like a double flat, like square. But obviously, like I'm not gonna, like she has it copyrighted, so she doesn't sell her pattern yet. One day maybe, but today no. So yes, I bought a lot of the Blythe Life, and whenever those were in the wash, I would double up stretchy flats, and that worked pretty well.
All right, so if we go back to newborns, what would you say are some of the biggest things you learned in trying to tackle that heavy wetter little baby? Like, what's your big tip for any other cloth diaper parent out there in navigating that scenario and trying to find a solution that works for them?
Just don't give up. Keep trying things.
Yeah.
Because there was a point where I was just like typing in a chat Facebook group, guys, I'm at my wit's end. How can someone so tiny pee so much?
How were you and I imagine like you were changing often, like regularly. It was just the nighttime.
Like during the day, it wasn't that bad because every 2 hours I could change. And I mean, he was in one size and stuff, but at night it was just those 5-hour stretches, 6-hour stretches, which, were wonderful for sleeping. But in the middle of the night, you don't want to change sheets.
I didn't have that child. So, but the 5-hour, did you find, this is something that I sometimes talk about is with people one-on-one when I'm chatting with them. Did you find that maybe if you were asking in a Facebook chat, did you sometimes get answers that weren't actually helpful? Was there a way that you were able to find answers that were helpful or help you navigate through that to get the actual answer that you needed? Because I often say heavy wetter and it could really mean anything. But you are talking like,
some people commented like, don't worry, they'll grow out of it. And luckily he did. But I would go through and some of them would be like, oh, microfiber insert wrapped in flour sack towel. I'm like, that's not going to work, honey. Pocket diapers are not going to work. Yeah, just like keep trying. And that's one of the biggest things that I would give as advice is like, don't just get one diaper type in your stash, because what I thought was going to work out the best, which was all-in-ones, like everybody in the sewing groups was like, oh, my perfect stash is all-in-ones for newborn and fitteds and covers. I'm like, okay, cool. I'll make some fitteds and I'll make some all-in-ones. So I made the all-in-ones and I thought those would work the best. And no.
They can work really great for some kids, but not for super soakers. And like, they have a really good purpose too. Sometimes I say they're really good for like day to day, if you want cute outfits and you're willing to change like really regularly, but they're not always the best choice. What have been your tips then since? Is he still a super soaker? How has been kind of adjusting into that one size life? Has that been a lot easier, or are you finding some new challenges in that?
So I don't think he's that much of a super soaker anymore. Like
now he has solids in his diet, not just milk.
It's not that. I think it's because he goes like longer hours between eating.
Oh, okay.
Because obviously a newborn's like eating every 2 hours or sometimes even more.
If not more.
And the whole eating throughout the night thing contributes to it as well. But when we moved to one size, like when he was the right size for one size, instead of moving to one size just for the absorbency sake, I found that I was overstuffing the original diapers that I made, and I was getting leaks because of that. I had to switch to like the bigger one size. And then, oh my God, I haven't even mentioned what worked as a daytime option when he was still a heavy wetter. Okay, so there's this really wonderful work at home mom. Her shop is Little Bun Bun Boutique, and she makes these things called all-in-threes, which have, okay. I think this is
how does she define an all-in-three?
Okay, so they're a pocket diaper with a PUL edge. Like you can get athletic wicking jersey or hand-dyed bamboo velour as the inner. And then they have like a big pocket in the back, and the lining is absorbent. So she sews absorbency into the lining. So that adds like an extra layer of protection.
A lot of people would just call that an all-in-one and then just slide on by.
It's a pocket diaper.
I know, but there are a lot of all-in-one diapers on the market that are just, but nobody really knows what to call it.
Well, she calls it an all-in-three.
No, it's fine. It's just, and the industry is full of random terminology. And somebody the other day described an all-in-one three as completely different from that. So I was like, not sure where you were going, but we can call it an all-in-three. It makes sense. What is her name? Little Bum Bum Boutique?
Yeah, she was awesome because like I would comment in the sewing groups. She's in all the sewing groups I'm in, and I would comment me like, so this is what's happening. How do I fix this? And like I had bought her diapers before because they're just so darn cute. And then she would give me tips and stuff on what I can do, because obviously like there's no way I could snag all of her diapers all the time. It was like, you need to have fast fingers.
This is a kind of a cool design. I like what she's done with the pocket to kind of create a simplified solution. And so that really helped you. Were you using a one size then on him? Even though he was little?
These are her newborn. Like these were the only newborns that ended up working without stupid amounts of boosting that would make the fit bad. Like these worked.
Oh, okay, cool. Okay, that is a cool product. Guys, I will include a link to her shop because she has a really fascinating product, and I would like to get my hands on one now.
Increasing the competition.
Well, I'm like, oh, maybe if we can get her doing super well, she can outsource and we can have more. What I also want to touch on, I had all this, now I want to touch on learning to sew. And as a new parent who's kind of been curious, I think we could share some tips there. Like, where did you go for support and resources? And if people want to sew their own diapers, is it really just as easy as Googling how to sew a diaper? What could a parent do?
Okay. Well, I recommend you start before you have a baby, if you're a first timer, because I've noticed that I haven't had that much time to sew since he was born. I used to sew cloth pads for myself all the time. And like, I bought a sewing machine and just kind of like stumbled through it, through YouTube videos and stuff. And that was like way back when. And then by the time I got to diapers, I was familiar with everything. Joining like cloth diaper sewing groups on Facebook are super helpful. If you find a pattern that you like, join the group for that pattern.
Oh, okay. So there's groups for patterns, there's groups for sewing.
Yeah, there's like the general
galore.
Yeah, I'm in 3 cloth diaper sewing groups. One of them is for a fabric shop. Another one is for a pattern shop, and another one is just like a general sewing group. And so I did that, and then I YouTubed a bunch of tutorials. And now, okay, I don't know if you've heard of the blog Pre-Fold to Fitted, like Pre-Fold number 2 Fitted.
I feel like this is an entire industry that I'm not even aware existed. And I have been here for a long time. So I'm like Googling things as we're chatting and being like a little bit mind blown, Naomi. So let's keep going.
Well, glad to do that. Arfi from Pre-Fold to Fitted has a bunch of tutorials on her website and free patterns. And I need to try out one of them. It's on my sewing table right now. I cut it out, but it's supposed to be like the closest thing to like a Nora's nursery, which fits my baby really well. So I'm going to try that. But she has a bunch of like really well, like made in probably Adobe Illustrator, like digitized patterns.
Yeah, she's got a ton here of different square tabs and round tabs and newborn tabs and sizes, and
yeah, she has a little bit of everything.
Newborns and larges and flats and all that good jazz. I knew that this was a big industry like early 2000s, but I have really just been working with small businesses so much that I haven't really looked at what is options when it comes to patterning, even though I talk to small businesses about how they make and design patterns, but accessing them. Oh, these are cool. Yeah, they're very well done. Hey.
Yeah. And now she has a YouTube channel called RP.
Yeah, I just subscribed.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I'm on her website. I was like, oh, look, yeah, she's got diaper pods, and top stitchings, and lots. So it sounds like there's a ton of resources out there to support new sewers and established sewers into doing this. Are you interested in scaling it to a business, or do you just love doing it as a hobby?
At the beginning, I was like, oh yeah, like I could totally do this. But then I thought about it, and I've listened to like a bunch of like business books and stuff, and not like starting a business books, but like career books and like how to do well in your career. And one of them, the thesis of it is basically like you should go with what your skills are and not what your passion is. And I kind of agree with that, because it's kind of nice to just have something to do for fun and not have it be like something that you have to do to make money. Like creativity anyway. And like, I totally admire those people that do that, sew diapers to sell. I really do, but I don't have anything original to offer like they do.
It's a lot of work too. I think like yesterday I just talked with Nicole from McCozy Bottoms, and just that whole whirlwind of learning to sew and learning to have a business, and then customer service and website maintenance, right? Like there's so many kind of layers to it that sometimes it's not worth monetizing your passion.
It does. I looked into it.
Like I love doing this Cloth Diaper podcast, and I've done a terrible job of monetizing it because like when I have to deal with money and people, it doesn't make me happy anymore.
Yeah, so it's so nice to have a hobby and
so you just keep like sewing for fun,
have fun with it, and not have any like pressure to do anything otherwise. But like if I had like an original idea, like obviously Blythe and like Danielle from Little Bun Bun, like they have original ideas and there's a niche in the market for that. But I don't have any of that. So I'll just keep buying their diapers.
You buy their diapers, you sew a little few things yourself. I mean, one day you might have an original idea outside of this industry on the sewing machine. Who knows, right? So looking back at this whole experience of yours, which was always my favorite part about stories, is that you go on a whole story and I never know where I'm going to go. What is like one of the biggest things that you've learned or taken away over the last 8 months of having a baby and sounds like 2 years of crafting diapers?
Well, babies have a mind of their own. They're their own like little, obviously their own person, and what you think is going to work might just not work at all. And then you're just going to have to improvise and just throw things at them until something actually does work.
Okay.
No, like there was a point where
I mean, it's totally valid. My first child, what did I decide to do? I did covers and pre-folds. I did size 1 covers because I was having a baby and I also wanted to cloth diaper from newborn. And then he was like 15 pounds by 5 or 6 weeks. It was massive. I mean, I'm a giant. If you meet me in real life, I'm 6 feet tall. My husband's 6 feet tall. So of course I had a giant and he grew like a weed. So I can remember being like a month postpartum and like binge shopping. I bought sustainable. Why do they needs a better name? I bought Saloom snapless fitteds. I bought like 20 of them because it was like something I could fold down that was small enough. And I didn't really know about the work at home mom industry. So it's really interesting to see you kind of come into that in your journey. Because in 2015, I just knew about my local retailer and that's all I bought. So I bought a ton of these fitteds and I bought a ton of all-in-ones. And I can remember like, feeling like I was thrown for a whirlwind because like this child grew like a weed and he was peeing not as much as yours, but enough. And like my entire plan A was scrapped. And then though I've had a second child since, and she did not grow it nearly as fast, and I was able to stay on to plan A, but you never know. Could have.
Yeah, no, seriously,
anything,
like
really. So
it would be like all of a sudden I had to like binge sew things. Like I was like a week postpartum and he was so there's this weird newborn reflex where they roll to their side and he like insisted on sleeping like that. So he was leaking out the side and I was like, oh no, guys, what do I do?
Oh yeah. And boys' wetters like to move around. And then when they're on their sides, it can be a little less awesome. Like,
so
it just be frustrating.
Everybody was like, flats or fitted, something that could wrap around. So I was like, okay, cool. I have some stretchy flats. I can use those. Fitteds, we need more fitteds because he goes through a lot of diapers. Husband, come here, trace this for me because I'm 1 week postpartum and I probably shouldn't be standing over my cutting table. So I made my husband trace out fitteds for me and cut the fabric out because that's the most physically demanding part. And I sat at my serger and made 7 new fitteds for him. And I couldn't even.
You guys, if you're listening to Naomi's story thinking she's a superhero, you should know that it is okay to use disposable diapers in this moment if you are not feeling good. The love of goodness, heal your body. It is okay.
I probably should have done that. But like at a certain point too, I also in the Happy Hippo sewing group, I was like, guys, does anyone have any newborns in their shop? Because we're running out of diapers way too quickly. Yeah,
my son, we would go through 22 diaper changes a day, which a lot of people, when I say that, I'm like, he just peed all the time and he was not happy when he peed. So you could use disposables or cloth. It was like 20 diaper changes. And he pooped a lot too. But I was agreeing with what you said about like, if you are interested in sewing your own diapers, this is becoming like a hogwash show of everything. Do it before your baby's born, because I bought sewing supplies as well with this big idea that I would sew my own diapers. My husband bought me a beautiful sewing machine for our first anniversary together. So like it's in my tools of trade, but I put it off. And then when I had a baby, There wasn't, unless you like intentionally set out the time for it, time doesn't magically appear.
Well, then you're too tired to do it anyway.
No, you might be like on this maternity leave thing where you're not working, but you are working more than you've ever worked in your life. So there's
exactly
no time for sewing until you make time, but it can sometimes be a long time to learn that.
Yeah, the only reason I did it was because I was probably a little bit insane. And my mom was like, I don't know about this cloth diapering thing. And I was like, I'm gonna prove her wrong.
It sounds like you had some strong values from the get-go, but it's good. You know what? Strong values are important. Strong values help lead us and guide us and help us grow. A surreal story of, I wasn't sure where we were going to go today, Naomi. So people can find you in the sewing groups. You're still lurking there if they need advice on sewing diapers and tackling heavy wetters.
Yeah, my new thing is just like, oh, a mom needs help, must comment. So like that, I mean, I have limited experience with just one child, but I
mean, that's
like
all you
to
really
offer
need, honestly.
the help I can.
What's your favorite thing, Naomi, about sewing your own diapers and kind of going through this experience?
Sometimes it's about saving money, like making upcycled t-shirt fitteds.
Yeah.
But other times it's a great way to express creativity.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really satisfying when something you made with your own hands works for your baby.
Yeah, I think we've heard that from a lot of work at home makers over the last couple of years. And it's really cool to hear that from a parent. Like the cloth diaper industry has such a great opportunity to fill so many parts of our soul in different ways, including that creativity and problem solving. Hey.
Yeah.
It was interesting, like Huggies has done studies on diapering and parents. The sense of worth or worthiness as a mother is somehow very strongly tied to diapering. Even if you're using a disposable diaper, like just like the ability to be able to care for your child in that way is like connected to our sense of worth. And so probably for you sound like you're a creative person, like that opportunity to be you with a sewing machine and do that through this trade is really impactful for probably your whole well-being. Hey, did you have an okay mental health recovery postpartum, or did it help or struggle?
I had baby blues for 3 weeks, but then I was okay. They tell you it lasts for like 2 weeks. Mine lasted 3 weeks. But I totally like get that, the whole thing that you just said, because the reason why I was so determined to find something that worked in those early days was because I took it personally.
Naomi and I get chatting there, and it feels like we never really end our conversation for the next 20 minutes. So I'm going to kind of end it here. You can find Naomi in the Blythe Life group, the Bumby Wool group. I see her everywhere on Facebook. So if you're looking for her, you will find her. I'm pretty sure she is the active Naomi. It was so great to hear this conversation of creativity and innovation and finding yourself and becoming a mother. For more shows of the Cloth Diaper Podcast, we'll be back regularly scheduled content next week. I hope. I just need to sit down and edit shows, which is one of the easiest and hardest things ever. But you can find the Cloth Diaper Podcast pretty much everywhere, and I'll see you online.